Jesse Waters, Trump's biggest Fox News cheerleader, just warned that the Iran war could cause chaos, and he said it on his own show. Jesse Waters, the most watched cable news host in America, Trump's loudest Fox News defender, the man who called Operation Epic Fury off to the best start in American military history, Euronews. The man who said regime collapse was a very accurate phrase, and I think we'll know it when we see it, Euronews. This man just issued a warning, a real warning, about chaos down the road. And when Jesse Waters, on Fox News, starts warning about chaos in a war he has been cheerleading, that is the moment every American needs to pay attention. Today, I am going to break down everything, what Waters said, what he meant, what chaos he is actually warning about, what the Iran war looks like right now, and whether America is heading toward victory or a catastrophic repeat of Iraq and Afghanistan. Let's go. To understand Waters' warning, you first need to understand his cheerleading, because for the first week of Operation Epic Fury, Waters was all in. On March 4th, Waters praised the goal of regime collapse twice while cheerleading for the war in general. He said, "Operation Epic Fury has entered a new phase, a shock and awe campaign to trigger regime collapse. Anything can happen, but this war is off to the best start in American military history." Euronews. Best start in American military history. The next day, he said the Trump administration was pushing for regime collapse and dismissed concerns about global oil supply. Euronews. Dismissed concerns about oil supply. On March 6th, Waters said Trump is confident once the regime collapses, the Strait opens, full production resumes. Euronews. Regime collapses, Strait opens, production resumes. Clean, simple, optimistic. That was Waters, week 1. But then, something changed. By March 10th, the tone shifted. Waters engaged in what may end up looking like wish casting when he asked his guest, "The regime, are you seeing early signs of collapse? I'm starting to pick up some signs." Euronews, "I'm starting to pick up some signs." That is a man who wants to believe, but is not sure anymore. And then, the warning. This could cause chaos down the road. What chaos is Waters talking about? The same chaos that Ben Shapiro tried to dismiss, when Shapiro said, "Now, I know there are a lot of people who are concerned about what happens next. I don't think that's our business." Euronews, "I don't think that's our business." That is the chaos Waters is worried about. What happens after? What happens when, or if, Iran's government falls? Who fills the vacuum? Who controls the nuclear material? Who controls the Strait of Hormuz? Who controls 90 million people? These are the questions. And right now, nobody has the answers. Now let's talk about the most explosive television moment of this war, the Waters versus Tarlov clash on the Five. Fox News' The Five became the latest front in the political argument over President Donald Trump's Iran campaign. The March 4th segment centered on whether the operation is succeeding and what metrics the public should use to judge it. United Against Nuclear Iran Jessica Tarlov, the lone liberal voice on the Five, cited a report that a U.S. strike had hit an Iranian school and killed children. Waters framed such an incident as a mistake that can occur in war while still defending the broader operation. United Against Nuclear Iran. On March 6, the dispute continued in a follow-up segment where Waters repeatedly pressed Tarlov to say whether the operation was going well, accusing her of misleading viewers about results. United Against Nuclear Iran. Are you saying this operation is not going well? Don't lie about the war. This is not just a TV argument. This is the central debate of the Iran war. One side, battlefield momentum, leadership targets, regime on the ropes. The other side, civilian deaths, long-term consequences, no exit strategy. And both sides have a point, which is exactly why Waters' chaos warning matters so much. Now let's get to the facts of where the war actually stands. Because Waters' chaos warning only makes sense in the context of the real military situation. Here's what we know. Trump told Axios the war will end soon because there is practically nothing left to target. IISS, practically nothing left to target. That sounds like victory. But then, 140 U.S. service members were wounded in initial strikes. IISS. The New York Times, assessing the first 12 days, concluded that Trump and his advisors misjudged how Iran would respond to a conflict that Tehran sees as an existential threat. IISS. Misjudged. America has punched Iran in the mouth, but the theocratic dictatorship can declare a victory of sorts simply by surviving. IISS, simply by surviving. And that is Waters' chaos problem. America can win every battle and still lose the war if the regime survives, or if it collapses into something worse. So what is the chaos Waters is actually warning about? Two words: Iraq 2003. America destroyed Saddam Hussein's regime, quickly, decisively, and then chaos. No functioning government, sectarian civil war, Al-Qaeda moved in, ISIS was born. 4,431 American soldiers died, trillions of dollars spent, the region destabilized for 2 decades. Waters, and every serious analyst, knows that Iran is more complex than Iraq. 90 million people, multiple ethnic and religious factions, a nuclear program with material that must be secured, proxy forces in Lebanon, Yemen, Iraq, Syria, all potentially going rogue. The Strait of Hormuz, which controls 20% of global oil. About 20% of global oil exports pass the narrow Strait of Hormuz that is next to Iran. Another 30% are in range of Iranian missiles in the Gulf of Oman and Red Sea. Arms Control Association. If Iran collapses into chaos, who controls those missiles? Who controls the nuclear material? That is the chaos Waters is warning about. This brings us to the question Waters asked on March 12th, the question that is at the heart of everything. Who's really running Iran? Congress.gov. Mojtaba Khamenei is the new supreme leader. But is he actually in charge? Or is the IRGC, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, running the show? If it is the IRGC, then killing Mojtaba, as Netanyahu has threatened, does not end the war. The IRGC keeps fighting. The missiles keep flying. The strait stays closed. And a new supreme leader gets installed. This is the chaos trap. You can eliminate every named leader, but if the system, the IRGC, the ideology, the institutional structure, survives, the war never ends. It just changes shape. And that is what Waters, and every serious analyst, is losing sleep over. And then there's the economic chaos, which is already here. Oil hit $100 a barrel despite record IEA reserve releases. Ship traffic in the Strait of Hormuz plunged by 70% on the initial attack. By March 3, it ground to a total halt. Arms Control Association total halt. Americans have been hit with soaring gas prices and shrinking retirement plans. Market volatility and oil prices have bounced around. Unemployment has ticked up, and tens of thousands of jobs have been lost. IISS jobs lost. Gas prices soaring. Retirement accounts shrinking. What would put the U.S. in recession is a long war. A recent Deutsche Bank study found you need a 50% to 100% sustained jump in oil to set off a recession. This would imply oil prices between $100 and $150 that remained high. Arms Control Association, $100 to $150 oil. If the war drags on, if the strait stays closed, if chaos follows regime collapse, America goes into recession. And Trump, who won on the economy, faces the midterms with a recession. That is the chaos that has Waters worried. And now, the most important political question of all. How does Trump get out of this? Trump can boost his party's uphill chances in the midterms by bringing this war to an early conclusion. That would also end a different war, the acrimonious debate within his MAGA coalition between those who defend the assault on Iran and those who believe he betrayed his base by abandoning his America First pledge to stay out of foreign wars. Tipple America First, stay out of foreign wars. That was Trump's promise. And now he is in a war. Trump insisted Iran must undergo regime change. He proclaimed that he had to approve the country's next leader. Well, with the Iranians anointing the Ayatollah's son, who Trump had specifically deemed unacceptable, that obviously didn't happen. Trump said he had to approve Iran's next leader. Iran ignored him, and chose Mojtaba Khamenei anyway. So Trump's stated war goal has not been achieved. And Waters, watching all of this, is warning this could cause chaos. Down the road. Not for Iran, for Trump. Now, here's something Waters said that most media outlets ignored completely. Fox News anchor Jesse Waters told Americans that the war in Iran was designed to control the oil market. He said, "The Chinese financed the Iranian army and bought their cheap, sanctioned oil at a discount. It's over now." Congress.gov. It's over now. Waters is saying the real goal of this war is not just to stop Iran's nuclear program, it is to control oil, to cut off China's cheap Iranian oil, to force oil back through American-controlled channels, to rebuild American energy dominance. If true, this changes everything about how we understand this war. It is not just about nukes, it is about the global energy market. It is about China. It is about who controls the Strait of Hormuz. And that makes Water's chaos warning even more significant. Because if chaos follows regime collapse, nobody controls the strait. And the oil war that started this has no winner. Water's chaos warning echoes something said by one of the war's other media supporters. Ben Shapiro argued, "There is this bizarre idea that is set in the aftermath of Iraq and Afghanistan that all regime change is inherently bad." Euronews. He is trying to preemptively dismiss the chaos concern, which tells you the chaos concern is real. Afghanistan. America spent 20 years there, $2.3 trillion, 2,461 American soldiers killed. And in August 2021, the Taliban walked back into Kabul, as if America had never been there. Iran is 5 times larger than Afghanistan, 5 times more populated, with nuclear material, with a trained proxy army across 5 countries, with a government structure that has survived 45 years. If Afghanistan taught America anything, it is that destroying a government is easy. Building something better is almost impossible. And that is what Waters means by chaos down the road. So, is Waters right? Will this cause chaos down the road? Let me give you the honest answer. Yes, if regime collapse happens and no plan exists. Yes, if Iran fractures into warlord territories. Yes, if Iran's nuclear material is not secured immediately. Yes, if the strait remains closed during a transition. Yes, if proxy forces go rogue without Tehran's command. But there is also a scenario where, no. If Iran's secular, educated middle class, which is large and sophisticated, takes power in an orderly transition. If America is ready with a Marshall Plan-style rebuilding. If the IRGC fractures and surrenders, if the nuclear material is secured by a coalition, then regime change works. The problem is, America went into this war without a clear answer to these questions. Trump and his advisors misjudged how Iran would respond. IISS, if they misjudge the response, what else have they misjudged? That is Waters' chaos warning, in plain English. And finally, the political chaos Waters is most concerned about, the midterms. November 2026, America votes. If the Iran war is over, with clear victory, Trump and Republicans win big. If the Iran war is dragging, with oil at $120, with American casualties mounting, with Iran still standing, Democrats take the House, and Trump's second term becomes a lame duck. Trump can boost his party's uphill chances in the midterms by bringing this war to an early conclusion. Uphill chances. Even Fox News is acknowledging the midterms are uphill for Republicans, with an ongoing war, with a slowing economy, with oil at $100. Waters sees this. His chaos warning is not just about Iran, it is about what happens to Trump, and to America's political future, if this war goes wrong. Let me bring this home. Jesse Waters, Trump's biggest Fox News defender, called Operation Epic Fury, off to the best start in American military history, Euronews. And then, the same man warned, this could cause chaos down the road. Both things can be true. The war can be going well militarily and heading towards strategic chaos simultaneously. America learned this in Iraq. America learned this in Afghanistan. America is about to find out if it learned the lesson. The questions that Waters is not asking loudly enough, but is clearly thinking about. Who rules Iran after the regime? Who secures the nuclear material? Who controls the Strait of Hormuz? What does America do with 90 million people who need food, water, electricity, and government? What happens to Hezbollah without Iran's funding? What happens to Hamas? What happens to the Houthis? These are the chaos questions. And right now, nobody has the answers. Not Waters, not Fox News, not the Pentagon, not the White House. And that is the most dangerous thing about this war. Tell me in the comments, is Waters right to warn about chaos? Or is this war different from Iraq and Afghanistan? What do you think happens if Iran's government falls? Smash that like button, subscribe, because this war is moving fast. Share with someone who needs to hear the honest analysis.